Welcome back to the 10 podcast where we teach, empower, and nurture minds. We empower parents, caregivers, and educators with practical tools to help children build their confidence and their self-esteem. Today, in our 7th episode of the Nurturing Children's Confidence series, we're going to be discussing a very challenging topic: how to help our children overcome negative self-talk, which also leads to self-hate.
Welcome to the 10 Podcast, where we teach, empower, and nurture minds. This podcast is dedicated to providing parents and educators with valuable tips, strategies, and insights to support children and young with or without special educational needs. Your host is Jacine Foster, a qualified special educational needs teacher and a certified children's coach. Join us as we explore ways to install confidence and self-esteem in children from a young age.
It is obviously heartbreaking to hear children say things like, "I'm not good enough," or "everyone is better than me," or "I hate myself." But with the right tools, we can teach them to combat these harmful thoughts and nurture a more positive inner voice. So let's dive in to learn how we can guide our children towards healthier self-talk. Negative self-talk is referred to the critical or harmful thoughts a child has about themselves. It can start small. Maybe they might say something like, "I can't do this," or "I always mess up, I'm so stupid." But over time, these thoughts can snowball into deeper feelings of self-hate, where a child starts to believe these thoughts and believe these feelings they have about themselves, believe that they're not good enough, "I'll never be smart enough," or "no one likes me." One of the most dangerous aspects of negative self-talk is when children start to compare themselves to others. They may say things like, "I'll never be as good as John or Sarah. Why can't I be as fast as Jack?" When children are comparing themselves constantly to others, this can make them feel like they are in a losing competition. And when they keep comparing themselves, all they are doing is reinforcing in their heads, giving themselves that idea that they'll never measure up. These comparisons can lead to the feeling of inferior, frustration, and eventually withdrawn from activities or friendships and relationships. When left unchecked, negative self-talk can harm children's self-esteem and hinder their ability to take on challenges with confidence. So we should pay attention to this. We should not leave it unattended. We should make sure we are attending to these negative self-talk immediately. When children constantly compare themselves and constantly speak negatively to themselves, eventually it turns into self-hate. Some common phrases of self-hate that you might hear from children include, "I'm so stupid. Why can't I be as good as everyone else? I always ruin things. I don't like my hair. I don't like my skin. Why can't I be as tall as this person?" These phrases are red flags, signaling that a child is struggling with their self-esteem and they need support. If you've just joined us, you're listening to the 10 Podcast where we teach, empower, and nurture minds. And in today's episode, we're looking at how we can help children overcome negative self-talk, which also leads to self-hate. In this next segment, I'm going to share some strategies with you that you can use to help your children identify their inner critique and overcome some of those negative self-talk. The first step to overcome negative self-talk is helping the child to recognize what is happening. What you could do as a parent, carer, or an educator is introduce the idea of the negative dragon or the bully in your head. When a child says, "I'm so bad at this," ask them, is that you talking or is that your negative dragon? This approach makes the negative voices feel like something separate from that child, which can make it easier for them to challenge. You can either be creative and maybe say something like, the negative dragon shows up when you're tired, when you're frustrated, or when you're feeling low, or they show up when you're feeling sad. By naming and identifying it, children can begin to catch themselves when the dragons start speaking. Second strategy that I'm going to share with you is challenge and reframe negative thoughts. Once your child can recognize these negative talks, the next step is to challenge it. If your child says, I'm so dumb, ask them, is that really true? What about the time when you solved that tricky math problem? By prompting them to think of an example that when they've done something great, you help them to see that the negative thoughts isn't based on facts. Then help them to reframe that thought. Instead of, I'm so dumb, they could say, I'm learning and it's okay to make mistakes. Instead of saying, I'm the worst at football, they could say, I'm still learning and I'm still practicing. I will get better. I want you to think of reframing these thoughts is like turning down a loud speaker, the volume on a speaker that is blasting negative thoughts. Each time they reframe a thought, they turn down the volume right down. They're turning those negative thoughts down and the positive thoughts get louder. Think of it like that. Third strategy that I want to share with you is model self-compassion and teach it to the children in your care. Children often know how to be kind to others, but don't extend that same kindness to themselves. Teach your child how to practice self-compassion by modeling it yourself. When your child make a mistake, say it out loud. That's okay. I'm still learning, or everyone make mistakes. And tell them of an experience that you had this week with a mistake that you've made. Let them see that it's normal. Normalize making these mistakes. Let them know that you grow from these mistakes. If your child says, I'm terrible at drawing, ask them, would you say that to your friend if they drew something? No, then why say it to yourself? Encourage them to treat themselves like they would treat their friends. Help them to build a kinder inner voice. And if you're modeling it, believe me, it's more likely that child will copy you. They will mirror you. If you've just joined us, you're listening to the 10 podcasts where we teach, empower, and nurture minds. And in today's episode, we're looking at how we can help children to overcome negative self-talk, which often leads to self-hate. So in this next segment, we're going to look at the dangers of comparison. Comparing oneself to others can fuel negative self-talk and lead to feelings of inadequacy. Children might say, I will never be good as Emily. I will never be good as Nikita. I will never be good as John. I will never be good as Ria. But at the end of the day, everyone is different and each child have their own uniqueness, their own unique strength. So comparing yourself to others is like comparing a fish and a bird. A fish can't fly, but equally the fish has its own strength. It is great at swimming. That's the strength of the fish. So we can't compare them. The bird can fly and the fish can swim. They are both good at something. In the same way, everyone has a unique ability. And just because one person can do another and you can't do it, it doesn't mean that they're better than you are. So parents, caregivers, educators, focus on celebrating your children's unique strengths and progress. When they start comparing, gently remind them that everyone is different and has their own talents. You might say, yes, Sarah is really good at soccer, but you're amazing at drawing. Everyone has their own gifts. Let your children start accepting their own gift and celebrating themselves and also celebrating others for their gifts. Rather than being envious or jealous of somebody else's gift, celebrate their gifts as well. One thing that you could use to help your children to realign their thoughts is positive self-affirmations. They are a great way to help children replace negative self-talk. Work with your child to come up with affirmations that they can repeat looking in a mirror that will help them to overcome these low feelings that they're having, overcome these negative self-talk. Some simple affirmations could be, I am strong. I am learning every day. I am a good friend. I am kind and capable. I am enough. I am resilient. I can learn from my mistakes. I love myself. I am enough. These are simple affirmations that you can do and create your own ones and sit with your child every day, look in a mirror and let them tell themselves how wonderful they are. You can create a daily routine in the morning when you're doing your check-in at school or when you're brushing your teeth in the morning at home. You can create some affirmation, put them in a jar or in a bag and pull one out each day with your child and let them say the affirmation out loud, looking in a mirror or without a mirror. Over time, this practice can help reinforce positive self-talk. For example, you might notice your child says, I'll never be good at reading. Have them replace it with, I'm getting better at reading every day. You may think affirmations are simple, but over time, these simple affirmations can have a huge impact on your child's self-esteem, their confidence, and their self-talk. I hope you will use some affirmations. And if you have, make sure you share with us on Instagram what affirmations you have created. The next strategy I'm going to share with you is an analogy that you can use to help your children understand the importance of managing negative thoughts. Tell them that imagine your mind is like a garden. Some thoughts are like weeds, negative, and other thoughts are like flowers, positive. We all have both negative and positive in our garden, but we can choose which one we water to help them grow. If we water the weeds, we water negative thoughts. You will have negative self-talk. You will become hateful towards yourself and mean to the people around you. If you water your flowers, the positive thoughts, your positive thoughts will grow and your mind will fill with happiness, good feelings, great emotions. You will love yourself and the people around you. When we focus on positive thoughts, we make the flowers grow and bloom and keep the weeds out. We keep the weeds from taking over. So this analogy can help children visualize the importance of nurturing positive thoughts while keeping the negative ones out. Okay, I hope that you understand the analogy yourself and I hope you can share it with your children. And finally, let us look at our seventh strategy, encourage effort over perfection. Many times negative self-talk arises from a fear of not being perfect. Children might say, I never get it right, or I'm not as good as everyone else. Focus on praising effort rather than the results. Let them know that making mistakes is a part of learning and no one is perfect. For example, if your child is struggling with math, instead of focusing on getting every answer right, celebrate the effort. I am proud of your hard work. I'm proud of how hard you are working. You're getting better each day. Keep on trying. This will help your child to see that it's not all about the result, but the effort that they're putting in, and they're more likely to keep trying rather than beating themselves up and speaking negatively about themselves in regards to the task that they're finding difficult. Remember, as we wrap up, that helping children to overcome negative self-talk is a gradual process that requires patience, empathy, and consistency. By recognizing negative thought, challenge them, reframe them with kindness, and celebrate effort over perfection, we can empower our children to build resilience and positive self-esteem. Thank you for joining us today on the 10 podcast. I hope these strategies help you to guide the children in your life towards a healthier mindset. Don't forget, progress is made by one step at a time, and every small win is worth celebrating. Until next time, let's continue to teach, empower, and nurture our next generation. Thank you for listening to the 10 podcast. I'm your host, Jacine.
To make the most of today's episode, download additional resources or contact Jacine at www.tenyourmind.com. That's TEN yourmind.com. You can also visit www.coachjacine.com for more information.